So our next subtitle is the battle itself. This battle, again, goes on for 3 days, July 1st through 3rd. So we're going to break it up into what kind of happened on those 3 days. Now, the battle takes place across all of them, but the actual crucial day is going to be on day 3. So let's start with day 1. This is when the Union and Confederate troops collide accidentally. And it's the Union cavalry versus some Confederate scouts. And the Confederate scouts actually outnumber the Union on this first day. Nevertheless, even though they're outnumbered, the Union takes the high ground, led by Union cavalry officer John Buford, and they hold that high ground even though they are outnumbered. And then they send word to Meade asking for help against the Confederate army. And they manage to hold out against the Confederates until help arrives. So this time it's also important to note that the South is the invading force and the North is fighting for their home territory. If you recall back when we discussed Northern and Southern advantages and disadvantages in the war, it was an advantage for the South to be defending their own territory. So now that advantage is kind of shifted to the North. So the South has the numerical advantage on day 1. If he was kind of thinking straight, Lee should have ordered his troops to take the high ground at whatever cost. But he let the officer on site make the final call, and he did not manage to take the high ground. And that is going to transform the rest of this battle, because Meade and the Union Army will hold on to that high ground throughout the entire battle. So once both armies arrive, their sizes are about equal, maybe a little bit higher on the Union side. So that brings us to day 2, that's July 2nd. Meade extends his cavalry across the high ground equally. And we can see here in this picture on the right, the curved Union line defending that high ground. So the southern flank, that's the one labeled Sedgwick down here, the very bottom spot with the little round top and the round top, that area was the weakest of the Union line. And the Confederate General Longstreet is given the order to attack here on the weakest side. And we can see Longstreet labeled in red here and the line kind of bringing him towards that area. He knows that this isn't a good idea in modern warfare because they do not have the high grounds. They're going to be going up the hill, and he doesn't think that this is a great idea, a great plan for them. Nevertheless, he obeys his orders. It's actually during this battle that John Bell Hood, who's a Confederate commander from Texas, loses an arm. He goes on to later lose both legs in the war. That does not stop him from fighting, though. He becomes a general and later battles W.T. Sherman, and he had to actually be tied to his horse in order to fight him. So just an interesting fun fact there. So the southern flank of the Union Army holds, but only because a Yale professor named Chamberlain orders a bayonet charge when the Union Army runs out of ammo, and the South attacks for the 4th time. And they do manage to hold them off, even though they don't have any ammunition anymore. So that'll bring us to the most important part of the battle on day 3.